We will have a fantastic opportunity this Saturday to accept important humanitarian aid that the government in Venezuela has forbidden, and we have a fantastic example to pull our country out of this crisis. Aside, thanks to the announcement by President Trump, who has announced this operation by a coalition of countries.
All right, so that's Juan Guaido here in Fox Business last night, saying that this humanitarian aid will be able to get in by this weekend. Today, though, the Venezuelan government said it's closing its maritime border with the Dutch Caribbean islands, storing aid for Venezuela. So it's not a done deal yet. We're going to watch it very closely as we head into the weekend. We welcome in now retired Army Lieutenant Colonel and Fox News contributor Alan West. Colonel West, good to see you. And it seems like Saturday's a big day in this unfolding crisis in Venezuela. What do you think happens?
Well, yeah, every day is a very interesting day, and I think that you will see this as a matter of hope, a ray of hope for the people there that are being starved, and this regime that is preventing them from getting the aid and the resources, because that's the means by which he maintains power. And so I think that it'd be very interesting to see how we do get through any type of blockade, and also those barriers and obstacles that were put up on the land bridge that takes you into Venezuela as well. The Venezuelan government and the Army cannot be seen restricting food and resources and aid to the people. I mean, it will just cause them to be in a very interesting and bad situation. So maybe some of those foreign fighters that are down there supporting the Maduro regime, they may be the ones called upon to do this.
So the hope, obviously, is that it gets in, that the humanitarian aid gets in, and then things start to move a little bit quicker, and Maduro and his people decide to say, you know what, this isn't worth it anymore. We're going to take this deal. We're going to get out of town. Guaido takes power. Now, what if that doesn't happen? What if the blockade is, I guess, successful? And what's the next move then from the U.S. and its partners in this?
Well, I think that you continue to see the diplomatic efforts to isolate the Maduro regime, as well as the economic efforts to take away his resourcing. You saw what happened with the Citco board. So that's a means by which you isolate him from his bases of support. And eventually what happens, even in the military, when those rank and file, those middle-level leaders, officers and non-commissioned officers, when they see that their best interest is not at stake while the generals are still getting rich and eating quite well, they'll pull away from that that regime also.
Do you have any doubt on how this all ends? Is it just a matter of timing, or do you have any doubt that at the end of the day Guaido ends up as the full-time leader in Venezuela and Maduro's out?
Well, you think about the old Soviet Union. It did not happen. Their collapse overnight. It took diplomatic pressure, economic pressure over quite a few decades. And you look what happened in Romania with Nicholas Ceausescu. So eventually these socialist dictators, they either are ushered out and given sanctuary or exiled somewhere else, or they end up meeting the fate of Ceausescu. So I think freedom and liberty will always triumph over socialist dictatorships.
Speaking of socialism, kind of as a broader issue, which the president's talked about, and he did the other night in his Miami speech, what's your observation been of what we've seen in South America, where there has been a move now, kind of right of center politically, especially on economics, whereas reversing years and years of moving in the other direction, whereas we do stories all the time of, say, Europe's move to the left, or even we just did a moment ago here in the United States domestically, at least in the primaries for president, of a move here, the Democratic Party, more and more to the left. It's interesting to see what's happening in South America. What do you make of it?
Well, without a doubt. I mean, we remember the problems we used to have in Colombia with the drug cartels and what have you. And it was not a matter of us having any type of military intervention, but eventually the drug cartels there, they lost their power and their control. And look at how Colombia now is a successful country. And 20 years ago, Venezuela was on the path of being a very wealthy nation in Latin America. But you had that hiccup with Hugo Chavez and now Nicolas Maduro. So they remember what it meant to be prosperous. And I think that that's something that aids them, as opposed to in Europe when you had, like I say, 70 some odd years of those type of dictatorships there, the Soviet Union. It took a while, took a little bit longer.
Right, but it eventually happened, and that's the argument that, this never ends well when you're in this type of a government. Colonel West, good to see you. Thanks very much.